bellyaching or merely complaining. If we do that, we're only part of the problem. We don't solve the problem. So, what is it that we might expect? I tried to compress it. Hang on. Because next year is an election year. And you're going to have another election in 2016. I suggest you try to be politically involved, although your main concern is business. Because we can never do anything about politics unless we get involved ourselves. The search for alternative energy will go on, much more intense. And what we're finding out now is biomass is much more cheaper than wind or solar technologies. The medical science advances will keep on. In fact, that will double because of the biotechnological alliances going around the world. By the way, in case you don't know, there is a biotechnology association in the Philippines put up 10 years ago. And they are really pushing for tested GMOs. That's going to affect your supply chain as well. Food security and water will be top priority of any government, but we're not sure whether this Pinoy government or the next one in 2016, it looks like Bina is going to campaign. We'll have this in mind. Lastly, education must be in cadence. And that's the part of government with the demands of private industry. It's good to have the call centers now, yes. But mind you, because of our proficiency or deficiency in English, only 1 out of 10 applicants get in call centers. And as far as I'm concerned, we cannot dance throughout the night for that. You know, that's no cause for celebration. Well, I hope I was able to give you what may happen. The problem with futurism is you must be on your toes every single day. Because every single development may affect your decision. And if you fail to notice that, you're dead meat. Thank you very much, and I hope I've given you some useful information, and I'll be willing to answer anything you have in mind in the open forum.
Yeah, can we invite you all here in front? ENSM.
You know, when I was a little boy, there's a cartoon called Gulliver's Travels. Are you familiar with that? Yung mga Gulliver's Travels, no? There's a dwarf there, Siglong. We're doomed. We're not gonna make it. Yeah, Siglong. Every time you hear about the future, greening pa nga yung topic natin. Dapat masigla tayo lahat eh. But why is it that when we hear about the future, it's so gloomy for the Philippines? No? Kinumpara pa tayo sa Japan. Malungkot lang ako. Anyway, I'd like to thank our speakers, Mr. Chris, Vandy, and Mr. Santos here for a very meaty presentation. By the way, we have mics everywhere. No? Please feel free to approach the mics, not just for questions, but also if you want to share best practices for your mga na-implement na ng mga kumpanya natin, and those very even personal things that we are doing, no, in order to help the environment. Are there anyone, or you're still formulating your questions? Ako muna. Kahit sino sa inyo, kahit sino po sa inyo, when you talk about green, you talk about dollars yan, mahal yan. Di ba? Like, yeah, it's good. Greening is good. Caring for the environment is good. O sige, you implement this. Ayoko, mahal. Di ba? Bili ka. Ayoko, mahal. So, how can we as supply managers, what do you recommend for us to do in order for us to convince our senior executives to go to that path of buying green or doing green logistics? Anyone? Or any sharing you may want to do.
Look, I think that's a very hard question talaga. And I think we're in a common platform where convincing is very hard. I guess that for us, the business owners, the CEOs, basically should be really part of the decision making. They should really also attend such forums or conferences like this. Unfortunately, laging representatives lang po ang pupunta sa mga ganito. And once sabi niya, usually papadala ka and then echo. But sometimes it's really hard that most of the things that you've learned and when you present, it falls on deaf ears. I guess it's really a battle na yung kulitan talaga eh. That's the only way, I think, no? Hanggang, I personally believe this na the only way sometimes na ang tao natututo kung nasasaktan. So,
mukhang maraming business.
kung hindi nasasaktan, mas mabilis matuto, mas mabilis mag-apply ng learnings if the experience is hurting. And siguro sa mga bosses or sa mga people na nasa taas ng design, unless they really feel yung sakit, that's the only time they will act on it. So I think one of those things na really we have to over challenges of putting up this green thinking sa mind of tao.
Well, for me, unang-una, you need to convince your boss that our business processes and activities impact the environment. No? Na for every step you make, there is a corresponding environmental impact. And what will happen after that? Well, again, at the end of the day, sinasabi natin, we are a business entity, we are not a charitable institution, this is not our core business. Again, like what we presented, it starts with the corporate social responsibility. That for every process or for every activities that we do, there is a corresponding impact to the environment. And of course, again, it's sad to say na sometimes you have to convert the impact into figures, no? Like peso or dollar sign, no? It matters to them, really. Let's just be honest. So if you can quantify the impacts into figures, then it would be a great help to convince them to invest on this new technology or whatever practice that you want to be put up in your operations.
Kailangan ipilit.
Yes.
Walang
Yes.
walang tigil.
And sometimes you have to scare them, no? Na there's an environmental law, you know. You leverage on the environmental laws to really convince them.
Sir, magkano nagasta niyo sa pagpapagawa ng bahay niyo na malubog sa undoy? Dahil lang puno ng plastic ang mga kanal. Ganon, di ba?
Well, there are several approaches to your executive, top executive. If you are not very close to him, find somebody else who's close to him to convince, so that you have a spokesman. You know? Number two, if you don't have a spokesman and you feel you can convince your boss, but it will take time, then do everything that you can, even if it is a matter of deception, you know, because your end is something else. It's for the better, or it's for the benefit of the company. Because good environment is good business. And preservation of biodiversity is good business in the long run, you know. It's only a matter of how you adjust your business objectives into what you think is better for everybody. And if you have that, then you can tell your final argument is, it's good for your shareholders, good for the company, good for you, and good for you last.
It's like a chicken and egg thing, or build it and it will come, so to speak.
Yeah. In short, use your own intelligence on both the approach, the methodology. There is no such thing as a hard and fast rule on how to do it.
Vicky, I can see your hand.
I totally agree. One thing that works for me is when I told my finance vice president that, buying green is not about generating savings. It's not about generating savings. It's about saving generations. So, but at the end of the day, when you have to do your number crunching, one suggestion that actually worked for me as well, and I'm sure the other purchasing professionals will agree with me, is you always look at your acquisition cost, di ba? Or your buying price. So when you go clean, para ma-convince mo yung finance or your accounting department, you need to include the cost of disposal into the equation. Kasi yun yung hidden cost or hidden charges na hindi natin nakikita. Kasi ang tinitingnan lang normally is yung buying price mo. What is actually being written in the purchase order. But when you make your presentation and you decide to go clean, please include your cost of disposal. Because more often than not, mas cheaper pa nga if you go clean. It's like say for example, you would qualify certain wastes, no? Some would be classified as ordinary waste, some as hazardous waste, and some even as infectious waste. And when you go dispose them, maybe hindi na responsibility ng purchasing, it's someone else's, like your PHS or your engineering. Pero cost pa rin yun to the organization. So what you do is you input that into your cost of acquisition so that you can compare now apple to apple. Magkano ba if you go clean? If you go biodegradable against something that will be disposed of or classified as infectious waste, mahal yun.
Right. So, you mean to say, Ricky, we should be thinking of the cradle-to-grave process, end-to-end thing, hindi lang presyohan. Kanina, in one of your presentations, kay Manager Rodriguez, you mentioned about yung logistics, yung clothing, which saves a lot of transportation costs. And it also lessens the trucks going out, right? The problem there is competition. Like for instance, on my end, one of them went to the office one day, nag-demo, third party. Ang binulong sa akin ng boss ko, please don't forget to ask if there are competitors na kasama sa base nila. Otherwise, we might not